Welcome to episode 4 of the 10 and Tomb Editor tutorial level. This time we're going to create what are known as stacked rooms, make our first water room, as well as animating surface textures, use the monkey swing, climbable walls, pickup triggers, and fix cameras. A common feature of levels are ledges, and these can help add some verticality to your level and are great for creating platforming gameplay. To create these, we need to stack rooms on top of each other. Another reason for stacked rooms is that we can't create more than one portal per wall. So if we want 2 portals, one above the other, we need to have 2 separate rooms, one above the other. At the end of this hallway where we had the boulders, let's create a new room. Highlight the wall tiles, and we're going to use the portal digger for this. So make sure we're in geometry mode, the bottom portal digger, and drag it out by 6 tiles. Click the drag button just to make sure that we don't accidentally create a new portal anywhere. And let's resize this room by using the crop button. And to the left and right, add 4 to each of them. So when Lara steps out of this room, we want there to be a ledge here. So highlight the whole floor and just pull it down by 1 click. Then highlight these 6 squares next to the entrance to the hallway and then pull them back up. And this is going to be our ledge. Go back and highlight the whole floor, and we're going to add a new room underneath. So click Portal Digger, click and hold, and just pull it down a little bit. It doesn't matter too much about the size, but you'll notice what happened because we raised the floor in the room above. When we add a portal underneath, it creates a ledge. Go back and click drag. And what we're going to do is create another room on top of this. So double click to make sure you go into this top room at the moment. Highlight the ceiling, click Portal Digger, and add another room on top and just raise it a little bit. Click drag again. In this top room, what we want to do is create another ledge, a bit like in the room below. But the problem is the portal already covers the whole floor. So we actually have to now delete the portal, create the ledge, and then add the portal back. So to do that, in the 2D view at the top left, just right click and it will say portal on floor. Tap delete and it will ask you whether you're sure. Click yes. What we want to do is not make this ledge quite as long as this one. The one below is 6 long. Let's make this one 4. So in the center of the room, just there, and raise it up 1 click. On the other side of the room, and eventually Lara's going to have to monkey swing across here, create another ledge 4 blocks wide. Now we can add back the portal. So select the entire floor, click the black add portal. So what we want to happen is Lara comes out of this doorway, goes towards the edge of the ledge, climbs up the wall, steps onto this ledge, and then monkey swings across to this ledge where she'll get a really important puzzle piece. So let's start this gameplay by going to the middle room, go to the edge of the ledge here, and just click on the tile. To make this wall climbable, we need to use these icons here. And this is where the 2D view is important. So we've selected the square where we want the climbable wall to be. In this view, the wall is actually on the south side of that square. And that's why we need to use this one here, climb on south sector side. So click that icon. You'll notice that in the 2D view, it adds a little pink line to the wall. In the actual room itself, you'll see it also went pink. This climbable wall will continue all the way to the top of a room or until it reaches a ledge. So if we go up into the top room, when we do that, automatically applies this pink climbable wall to that wall as well. Let's create the monkey swing. So in this top room, I think the ceiling is a little bit high at the moment, a little bit high for Lara to jump. So just bring it down a little bit to about there. It's about 4 clicks high from the top of the ledge to the ceiling. I don't want the ceiling to be entirely flat though, so I'm just going to select these 2 lines in the middle, and then holding the Alt key, bring it up just by 1 click. Then I'm going to select these 4 lines, hold the Alt key, and bring it up so that the other sides are brought with it. And that way Lara can monkey swing across, plus the ceiling isn't completely flat. Lara can't monkey swing beyond a 2-click angle, so that's worth bearing in mind. So now we need to decide where we want her to monkey swing. Let's say across from that tile straight over to that tile. Find the bit where you want Lara to monkey swing, so it's across these tiles here. Select them, go over to the left, and you'll notice this pink Set Monkey Swing Sector property, and click. If you want to undo it, click it again, but let's add it back. What you'll notice though is that those squares are also affected at the bottom, and if you look all the way down to the floor, they're also colored. What the engine does is that it applies it from the ceiling to the floor, even in stacked rooms. It goes through the rooms. In practice though, all it actually does is affect the squares at the top, so we don't need to worry about it too much. The thing about a climbable wall is, let's imagine we wanted only a bit of this wall next to it to be climbable. Well, we can't. We'd have to add a ledge somewhere to stop Lara being able to go all the way from top to the bottom. There is another way that you can do this using a volume trigger. For now, we'll just have a simple climbable wall that's stopped by the ledge, so she can't go any lower. Let's go down to the bottom room. And for this one, we're going to create underneath this a little water pool. Let's get that set up first. I want to just bring down the floor even more. Then select these middle squares, so we're leaving a 1 block wide rim around the edge, and just pull them down 1 click. It's important that it's only 1 click. That's because underneath here we're going to create a water room, and Lara can only climb out if it's 1 click or lower. I'm just going to make it a little bit less uniform around the edges and just raise some of these blocks. Perhaps I might put a statue or two on some of these. We also want Lara to be able to get back up. On this ledge, we're going to put an important puzzle piece, and she'll definitely need it in order to escape the tomb. But let's imagine the player just jumps straight into the water, climbs out. They've got no way of getting back up, so they'll be soft locked in the level. So for this, in one of the corners, I'm just going to raise the block there by about 6 clicks. Lara can jump up to 7 clicks, so she'll be able to jump up here. She could also climb on the ledge and jump up there, and then from here can jump up to this ledge, climb back up the wall, and then do the monkey swing. While we're still in the bottom room, let's add the water room underneath. So select all the floor tiles, portal digger, click, and we've created another room. Make sure you click on drag, go into that room. I want to make the water room a bit deeper, so I'm going to select the floor, pull it down. It's about 8 clicks deep. I know that because if I look down at the bottom here, y equals -1,7. That means the floor is at level -1 and the top of this room is at 7, so it's 8 clicks deep. And to turn this into a water room, it's nice and simple. We just go to this option on the left where it says room type. Currently it's set to normal. Go down, select water. What we'll do very soon is we'll change the color so it looks like water, and we'll also add some surface textures, some animating textures to make it look like there's ripples on the surface. We're creating rooms thick and fast, and there is one more room that I'd like us to create. The reason is we're going to add a door here, and what will happen is when Lara picks up the puzzle piece from this top area, it will then automatically open the door at the bottom. Click the wall tile, make sure it's on the same side as the puzzle piece side, so this ledge over there. Click portal digger, and then there we go. And for now, I just want to bring down the ceiling of this room so that it's exactly 4 clicks tall. It doesn't matter if yours is a couple of clicks longer than this. We're going to actually deal with this room more in the next lesson. But the reason we created it now is because we want to put the door in there. So go to the objects menu, type in door. It brings us closer to where we want to go. Just scroll down a little bit and go to door type 3. Click the plus and make sure that we're in this little room here. Add. We're placing the door in the room that Lara's not in yet, the one that she wants to go into. Now we want to add some of the more gameplay objects. So go all the way to the top room, and we're going to add a pedestal and the puzzle piece that Lara needs to collect. Open the objects menu and go down to static 14. And this is a pedestal. That means that we can add an object on top of it that Lara can then pick off. And I'm going to add it to this ledge just on that side there. Then go back to the Objects menu and search for Puzzle. We don't actually want that. We want Puzzle Item 1, Combo 1. If you click the down arrow here, it goes to Combo 2. And these are two separate items that once we found them, we can combine them. So we're going to put Combo 1 on top of the pedestal in this room. So add it to the same square where the pedestal is. It's automatically placed on the floor, so we'll need to manually lift it so it goes on top of the pedestal. Just check it's in the right place. Press escape if you need to. So it's just hanging on. We're going to come back to this to set the triggers. But first of all, I want to go back to the bottom room here, not the water room, but on the side. And I want to add 2 more pedestals. So go back down to static 14 and add 1 in each corner. And on these, we're just going to add some pickups, something for Lara to have. So let's scroll up to where the pickups are. I'm going to put some shotgun ammo on one of them. Just as before, it will go on the floor. We need to manually raise it up so it's on top of the pedestal. That's a bit high, so I need to lower it 1 more. And on this one, let's put a big medipack. Let's be generous. Place it on the floor, lift it up. The thing is, when Lara comes up to these objects, she's not going to be able to pick them off unless we actually change the OCB, the object code bits. So click on the big medipack, press the O button, and for this we want to add the number 4. And what 4 means is that when Lara comes up to it, she'll perform the right animation to pick up an object from a pedestal. Go over to the shotgun shells, make sure we click the shotgun ammo, press the O, and add the number 4 to the OCB. The reason why we came back to this room just to do that is because it will help us decide what to do at the top. Let's go back to the top. For Lara to pick off this puzzle piece, you'd think that we'd press O and add the number 4. That is partly right, but we also need to add something else to it because we want it to trigger something. So for now, just press cancel and let's set up the triggers. So with the puzzle item selected, select the square underneath it, go to classic triggers and add one. And here we actually want to set up a pickup trigger. So click this drop down menu and select pickup. What that means is whenever Lara picks up the object, it will trigger something. And in this case, we want to trigger the door down in the water room. Click OK. So you can see here we've set up a pickup trigger. Just zoom out and go down to the door. And the square should still be selected, so we can press add and then simply add this trigger for the door. Now we can click on the object and press the O button. So we know that OCB4 means that she can pick up the item off a pedestal. But if we have a pickup trigger, the item that triggers the pickup trigger has an OCB of 64. And what you can do is combine both of those and it will make 68. And that's what we want in the OCB field. So type 68, click OK. When Lara picks up the object, I want the camera to shift to show us what's happening. It's a little hint to the player about where they should go and also that this door has opened because they've probably seen it already. And to do this, we're going to place what's known as a fixed camera. It basically means when the camera angle changes to a fixed position for a certain amount of time. Let's place the camera in the water room. So go down to the water room and at the top, there's this icon, add camera. Let's put it around about here. Pull it up from the floor a little bit. I want it to be looking a little bit down at the door. Cameras need something to look at. And there's a special object. Just type in target. And another null mesh will appear called camera target. Add it in front of the door. What this means is when the camera is triggered and the camera target are triggered at the same time, the camera will then point at the camera target. If we zoom out so that we can see the top, where our pickup trigger is, we now know that any trigger we place on this tile will only be activated when the pickup is collected. So make sure the tile is selected, click on the camera, and add a trigger. Don't click OK just yet though. If we click OK, what will happen is that the camera will be permanently on, or at least until Lara herself leaves this triggered square. We want the camera only to be on for a couple of seconds, and this is where the timer field is useful. So put in the number 2, and that means 2 seconds, and then click OK. We also need to trigger the camera target there. So select that, add a trigger. And this time we actually need to tell it that it's specifically a target. So leave it as a trigger, but it's technically not an object now. It's actually a target. And so select that. So anything you want a camera to point at needs to be triggered as a target trigger for that to happen. And then just click OK. So we should have 4 triggers on this square. 1 for the pickup, 1 for the door at the bottom, 1 for the camera, and 1 for the camera target. Before we do the texturing and lighting, I'm just going to add a few more objects. Feel free to do the same. Remember that we can resize objects if we want to by pulling this square in and out. Just bear in mind that you might need to then readjust the position of the object. Press Ctrl for really fine movements. I've added a couple of flame emitters and we need to trigger those. I don't want them to trigger in front of Lara's face, so I'm going to trigger them back in a previous room. Here where we've got the enemies, I'm just going to put the trigger at the edge of the room there. Let's go down into the water room and make this look like actual water. If the walls aren't quite divided evenly, then just take a moment to do that. Here they just already are. And texture the room however you think a water room might be textured. Remember that to reuse a texture that you've already placed, to make it quicker if you can't find it again, go over the texture you want to use, hold the Alt key, click, and it will highlight it in the texture panel. To create textures on the top of the water to make it look like a water surface, we also want them to be animating. To do that, we actually have to create a texture surface. At the moment, there's a portal, but you can see straight through. And there's a special function for adding water textures like this. So make sure that we're in the water room. Right-click on the portal, and it will highlight it. And then go over to these icons here. You've got a few options. One is textured and solid. It's also known as toggle opacity 1. And the next one next to it is called textured and traversable, toggle opacity 2. We want Lara to be able to go through this portal. So we're going to use this one, toggle opacity 2, the textured and traversable. So click that one. If we look from underneath, we'll notice that it's created a textured surface, but Lara can actually go straight through it. We want to do this on both sides. So go to the room above. Select the portal by right-clicking. Make sure you've got the right one. The first time you click, it might say the ceiling portal. Just right-click again, and then it will select the floor portal. Go over to toggle opacity 2, click, and we've done the same thing. To create animated water textures, what we're going to do for us is actually add another texture file first. You don't have to have a separate file for water textures, but for organizational purposes, you might find it easier. So click the plus icon, add texture. Go into our textures folder in level 1, and then click tutorial textures water. It will load them up, and then just zoom out. And you can already see it looks a lot like a surface of a water. But we want to make this animate first, and then we can apply them to the top of the water room. To animate the texture, go down to animations, and then just make sure that the right texture file is selected. So go to tutorial textures water. It's probably easier if you zoom out here as well. There's all sorts of different things you can do, and we're just going to do a classic frame by frame animation. We want to create a new animation set. So click the plus icon here. It's a good idea to give it a name so you can keep track of it. Click the pencil icon, and we're just going to call it water. Double click on each texture from left to right. So I've just double clicked this top left one. Go to the next one at the top right, then go down one, and keep going like this. You'll start to see in this preview window how it's going to look. We want to include all the textures. So keep going, and you'll notice that the animation is gradually getting smoother because these textures were designed to be animated like this. So there are 16 frames. We can, if we want, actually change the frame rate. The default here is set to 16 frames per second. But if you want to make it move faster, you can increase the frames per second, or the other way around, slower, and you can decrease it. So I'm quite happy with the default here, 16 frames per second. And click OK. What this means is now that we've created this animation range, whenever we add any of these textures, it will cycle through those 16 frames. We could add the textures to the top of the portal and then to the bottom, but there's a slightly easier way of doing it, and that's just to apply it to one side, but then make them double-sided. So in the room above the water room, select the first texture, and then go down and select this icon here, which says Set Double-Sided Attribute. Click that, so when we add a texture, we can see it at the top and on the bottom. Just apply it to one square for now, and you'll see you can't really see through it. That's not really like water should be. And that's because the texture at the moment is opaque. So we need to add a blending mode to it to make it semi-transparent. If we go down here to blending mode, we have a few options. We want to go to additive, which basically means semi-transparent texture. And this will apply to the texture you're adding. So just click again, and you'll notice now we can see the room through the texture. Just add other textures randomly. It will automatically stay at additive and double-sided unless you turn it off, but that's what we want. The reason we're not adding the same texture to all squares in this case is that it might look a little bit like wallpaper again. And if we just vary them a bit, it can add some variety. Go into the room underneath. So we don't need to texture the ceiling anymore, but we do need to texture it with something. And just like we've done before, we're going to texture these transparent. So make sure we're in face edit mode, click the eye with the line through, invisibility, and texture the ceiling of the water room. I did it the long way around. You could, of course, click textures and texture ceiling. It would have been much faster. While we're in this room, let's change the lighting to make it look more like water. Otherwise, it will just look like any old room. So go into lighting mode. And for this, we want to change the ambient to something quite different. Let's just go with some classic blue water. I'm going to make it kind of on the dark side. Click OK. You can still add individual lights to water rooms, but they're not quite as vibrant or as apparent when you go into game. Go up into the next room above the water room. We want to add a little nice reflective effect above the pool. And what you can do here is, while in this room, go to this effect pull down menu and click reflection. The number next to it refers to how strong that reflection will be. I want it to be reasonably strong, so I'm going to set it as 2. What it means is that there'll be a flicker of light just on the edges of the pool here, on the rim. To make it look good though, we need to segment the walls here as well. Remember that lines that connect to each other means that we have good lighting. So make sure that we're in geometry mode. And if we select these 2 blocks, number 1 is the top of the block. So if we click number 2 and just pull up a line, then we've nicely segmented it. Let's do the same with the rest of the room. Another setting is whether the water surface is wavy or not. For this, when you're in the water room, make sure default is set as the effect, and then you can change this number between 1 and 4, and this determines how wavy the surface will be. For an indoor room, less wavy makes sense, but for a lake or ocean, you might want more waves. Remember that you can use the shortcut that we learned in the last lesson to segment the walls. If you select the wall, go down to transform, and then grid walls in squares, you can select between 3 and 5. We don't want more than 3 in this room, so if we just click 3, it almost does it for us. All we need to do is just adjust that 1 so it fits nicely. And while we're at it, we might as well prepare the other rooms for texturing as well. I'm going to keep this one-click high line just so that the lighting is good around this block. Once we've textured these rooms, I'll show you something which can highlight bad lighting. But for now, let's segment the rest of the walls. When we add textures, the only thing that really matters in this room is that the player knows that this is a monkey swing and that this is a climbable wall. What's happened here is the monkey swing ceiling has actually gone from the middle. The reason is that I added a water room at the bottom after I put the monkey swing in here, and that just messed it up a little bit. So all we need to do is just highlight the squares that are missing and add monkey again, and it will appear. So we need to make clear to the player that these are climbable surfaces. So we need to choose a texture that's appropriate. So go into face edit mode and have a look at the texture panel, and let's scroll down to some climbing textures. I'm going to select this one and put it here, this one above and put it there. I'll probably put that one on top as well. And so we need a one-click high texture just to fill in the gap. And for the monkey swing, I'm going to use the same texture. Just finish off the rest of the textures however you like. You'll notice here that I've mirrored every second texture just to flip it, and that makes them seamless. It might not always look great, but I think it looks okay here. And to mirror the texture, you just hold down Control. This texture is this texture here, but rotated 180 degrees. If I add it the normal way up, I could, for each one, rotate it so that it goes round, but that's a bit laborious. Remember that if we press this key though, with the texture highlighted, it changes where the red triangle is. All that's basically doing is rotating the texture for you. So if I press it twice, that means I've rotated it 180 degrees. And then if you apply it, it's automatically rotated. And this can be a nice time-saving shortcut. Now we can add lighting. So let me just explain some of my lighting choices. I added some point lights just to the top of these ledges, partly to indicate to the player, maybe subtly, that these are things to think about. I added these flame emitters before, so there's actually going to be some natural glowing orange light here anyway, so I didn't add anything. In the top corners, I added some shadow bulbs. For each of these, though, I made sure the intensity wasn't quite as strong as the previous ones that we'd used. So these ones are minus 0.17, and this is just so the corners don't appear too distractingly dark. Each room has exactly the same sun bulb, and you can see it creates a nice uniform directed light in this direction over here. And I added a couple of spotlights in the bottom room just above the water room, which are shining on these statues. Before we test the level, I want to introduce a lighting mode to you, which can really help to see where there's some not so great lighting. Make sure you're in lighting mode first and that you've textured the rooms, and then click the next icon here, which is draw untextured in lighting mode. What it does is it takes away the textures, but it shows you how the light reacts to the walls around you. For the most part, it's quite smooth, and this is because we segmented the walls quite well. There are a couple of places where it doesn't look quite so good. See these sharply contrasting lines. You've got them here, and you've also got them here. The reason is, if we go into geometry mode, I didn't add a line. This is up to you whether you want to do that. Remember, if we add a line here, then we'll have to add a line all the way around the room. Since it's only in a couple of places, then I'm just going to leave it as it is. But if you've got a room full of these, it can be really quite distracting. It's extra important to segment walls well in water rooms because the wobbling effect and also the light effect will crack the wall now and then if the lines don't match up. I think we're ready to test, and you'll probably get sick of testing a level from the start every single time. So we can move Lara to wherever we want to actually start the testing. Just be careful, we don't want to add a new Lara object. There can only be one Lara object in the level. But what we can do is just select a tile. Since the flame emitters are triggered all the way down here, I'm going to click on this spot and right click and then click Move Lara. Coming up to this pickup, I think it's a bit dark. I think it needs to be highlighted more. So it just reminds me to add a light here just to highlight it. Notice in the water room that the double-sided textures, we can see them from below and also from above. Also see the reflection effect at the side of the room that we added. We can make testing our level a little bit quicker and easier in that we can use the Flycheat. Press the O button and she'll make this pose. And if you press Alt, then you can just fly around the room. And it might make it easier to reach some high up ledges so that you don't have to do it yourself. To get out of the Flycheat, then you just press Shift. Once you're in Flycheat, you can also press Control and she'll emit a light. And that might help look into some of the dark corners. So what did we do in this lesson? We learned how to stack rooms so that we could create ledges. We created a water room with a reflection effect. We added some animated textures for the water surface. We learned about what toggle opacity 2 means. We added a monkey swing, a wall climb, pickup triggers, and adding a fixed camera. Still to come, Lara gets whisked away in a current. But if she's quick enough, she might be able to find a secret room. But then there's more danger ahead, including a timed switch puzzle, and she faces a rope bridge over some lava.